Devlin, Untamed.
Welcome to the podcast, people. iOS, It's Only Sport. That's the name of our daily radio show. And it is the only true independent daily sports program in this country. Live on the platform, 1 till 4 every afternoon. You can download the app. You can listen via the website. You can go back and catch all of the interviews, long form if you like, via Platform Plus or via the YouTube channel. But if not, this is the next best thing, the highlights package. Today, what do we talk about? Finally, some reality, sense and sensibility and decision-making from New Zealand rugby. My God, did I say that out loud? The Hurricanes-Chiefs Super Semi this Saturday night, 4:35, so as not to clash with the Warriors same night. How long have we been rabbiting on about this? Why on earth would you put two games up against each other, especially in Auckland, knowing that the Warriors are sold out and so many people are on that train and are watching them? So Avan Lee, Hurricanes CEO, a man I respect very much, he joined us today to explain. Also, Ryan Fox, ahead of the US Open, third major of the year, starting this Friday. He's had a real roller coaster of a ride in the United States so far, but he's made the weekend in both of the two majors so far, played really well at the Canadian Open. How's he going? Because he played 9 practice holes on that course today. Ryan Fox joined us. NBA Finals, the Celtics 2-0 up. Is it done already? Only 5 sides have come back from an 0-2 deficit to win the NBA Finals. How many of those can you remember? I'll give you a clue. A couple of them in the last 10 years or so. Jeff Parks from Australia talked all about Super Rugby from that side of the ditch. We went positive with Twisel's Matt Gunn. And the Black Caps need to cop it, and they need to cop it hard. Because why? They deserve it. The arrogance and contempt, no practice matches, turning up late because we're going gently. But who's going to call them out? The mainstream New Zealand sports media? Not likely. The giggle fest farty bum ACC crowd? Not likely. One man who did and who always will, though. The honesty that comes from Mark Watson, ATM podcast number 87. Snippets of most of this on your podcast for you. We begin the show the same way every day, though, which is tablets in hand. I say, gather my flock. It is time for a sermon. Come on down, Black Caps. Meow. Let's go to the mountaintop.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
I hope the Black Caps crash out of this T20 World Cup in the West Indies and don't make the Super 8. There. I said it out loud. I do. I would never normally say this about any New Zealand side competing anywhere in the world, and especially one that is competing for a World Championship title. But this team, its fluffers, its coach, its silly, giggly supporters, the whole administration needs to be brought down a peg and hard. They need to be humbled badly again, just like they were against Afghanistan, because they are acting like an overinflated bunch of egos with scant respect for the positions that they hold, i.e., that is representing us fans, representing our country. Playing for New Zealand is a privilege. It's not a right. And many of these guys need to be reminded of that. And the best way to do such is the humiliation of defeat of an early exit from this tournament. Everyone connected to this particular Black Cap side, that's the whole lot, need a wake-up call. I'm sick of the excuses. I'm sick of the disrespect. I'm sick of this bunch pouncing around like they're a side that wins things, that think they're important, that think they're dominant, because they aren't. They are not. Right now, the best thing that can happen is they learn a really harsh lesson. The best thing that can happen to this team is an early, shameful exit from this T20 tournament.
Are you going to continue to be a bunch of soft, underperforming, tattooed millionaires? You are a soccer generation that has been given everything. You are a soccer generation who is on the verge of squandering everything.
Devlin.
What do you want? We want information. Information. You won't get it.
The platform.
1:14 time locked in. We got headlines before we go to Avan Lee, the CEO of the Hurricanes, and I got to say I do like this guy. I thought the way that he handled that whole Hurricanes power debacle, and it was one, I thought he did very well. Anyway, he will join us after what we got.
I've got a lot actually for a Tuesday. What do you call it? Injury day?
Injury days, Tuesday and Wednesday. But mind you, I always scour the mainstream media news sites, and I see News Hub are leading with it right now, and stuff are leading with it. The naming of the White Ferns contracted players.
New South are still leading with it.
Lead sports. Really?
To be fair, the Herald aren't.
I mean, for God's sake, this isn't
And
even a
Stuff.
story when the men get named. It's just these guys have got a job. So what?
To be fair to Stuff, it's not even one of their main stories.
Is that the
actually.
biggest news story in New Zealand at the moment, News Hub, or is that why you're going under?
Actually, it's nowhere to be found on Stuff's website.
Yeah, good. Good. They've ditched it. I hope you're not going to do it. So move on.
Well, no, I am going to read it out because I've got a comprehensive headlines package that covers all the sport relevant to New Zealand. I'm not going to lead with it, though, because it's not the leading story. I tell you what is the leading story. It is, well, I don't know, is it rumours or reports? It's not confirmed, but it's come from the coach's mouth, so I guess it is confirmed. That Sean Johnson
Yes, Jay.
will return for the Warriors this weekend.
I'm cuddling my Sean Johnson doll as you say this story, Lachlan.
The Warriors taking on the Melbourne Storm at Mount Smart Stadium this weekend. Saturday evening, is it? Afternoon, evening, I think it is.
7:30, mate.
7:30, there you go. So Sean Johnson set to return. Great news for him, great news for the club to an extent. They've been playing pretty well without him. Tamate Martin in particular playing very well over the weekend. Warriors coach Andrew Webster saying today that Johnson would make his comeback when they host the Storm. Their team will be confirmed around 6 p.m. I thought it always came out a little earlier than 6, but not bang on 5. So I don't know. This is Stuff. They say it's at 6 p.m, so I'll go with that. Rugby news. England have been dealt an injury blow for next month's All Blacks test here in New Zealand after losing key playmaker George Ford. He has an Achilles problem. Meanwhile, former Māori All Blacks loose forward Ethan Roots has been named in England's 36-player squad. Great news for him, and I guess pretty good news for Māori All Blacks fans as well. They get to see their man run out. Sam Whitelock's rugby career will finish on a personal high with the All Blacks legends scoring a try with his final touch before leaving the game for good. Taking the field in his final match for Section Palouise. I thought he was playing for Pau. Or Pau. I thought that's who he was playing for in France.
Yeah, PLU, was it?
Is this another name for them, or is this a different team? Who knows? This is in the French top 14 competition. Whitelock crossed the chalk with time up on the clock and signed off his career in style. Taranaki police are investigating after a rugby player was floored by a punch as opposing players were shaking hands after a Premier grade match at Yarra Stadium over the weekend. Mike Sandel, the CEO of Taranaki Police, is Mike Sandel?
Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, he used to be the New Zealand cricket manager too.
Yeah. Did you just say New Zealand cricket manager?
New Zealand cricket manager.
I thought you said New Zealand. He confirms that this man, or this player rather, was punched well after the final whistle. Former All Blacks wing Ralph Colton, has died at the age of 87.
Good innings though. Good innings, mate.
Yeah, made 50 appearances for the All Blacks between 1959 and 64. ANZ Premiership. The thing I do like about the ANZ Premiership, I mean, it wasn't so relevant last night because we did have an NRL game on to enjoy, which I'll get to in a sec. They have Monday games. They always have Monday games, which is really great. Last night it was... Oh, no, they didn't. Oh, they did. Did they?
Yeah, they have a Monday game.
Oh, hold on. No, the website hasn't updated. I had to go into the scorecard. The Mystics taking on the Pulse. Pulse winning 54-38. Pretty dominant win. Yes, they are. Pretty dominant win in the end. In my defence, the website hasn't updated. That's why I got confused. The ladder, the Mainland Tactics, no, they're not unbeaten. They've lost a game. The Mainland Tactics are 8-1. They're top of the table. Played one more than the Pulse, who are 7-1. The Mystics are third, 4-4. And by the way, the Northern Stars over the weekend actually won their first game. Wonderful to see. So they're off the bottom of the table. And based on bonus points, because they have 6, the Northern Stars, they're actually ahead of the Steel, who have won 2 games, but they have no bonus points. Batter Lauren Down has returned to the White Ferns contract list for the 2024-25 season. I know you don't want me to read this out, but I will. Down declined the contract offer last season to take maternity break, but she's opted back in. The lone newcomer in the list is wicketkeeper Polly Inglis.
I don't mind it being in news, but I just don't think it's that relevant or important enough to most people to actually read the sports news. But talk about the doggies, because there was a hell of a game last night, mate. There was a brilliant game last night.
I didn't watch it, but I
love my doggies.
So
I hate my doggies, actually. I don't know why I said that.
A slender win over Bangladesh. 4 runs, both teams batting through their 20 overs. South Africa posting 113 for 6. Bangladesh 109 for 7. That was the only game won overnight. A couple of good games on tomorrow. Pakistan, Canada, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Australia, Namibia. Any upsets there, Martin? Probably not. The Bulldogs, really good win last night, 22-18 over the Parramatta Eels comeback win. They had a man in the bin. The penalty count was heavily favoured to Parramatta. You'd wonder what the referees are doing there. But good win for the Doggies. They're 7-6. They move up to 7th on the ladder ahead of my Broncos. In Stanley Cup, Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals, Edmonton Oilers, Florida Panthers, 1-0 to the Oilers. The Panthers won Game 1 3-0, but the Oilers have the lead after the first period in Game 2. That's what's making news, Martin.
Devlin,
That is a disgusting act.
the platform.
US Open this Friday, Pinehurst number 2, North Carolina. Ryan Fox has made the weekend, both the majors so far, and he's carrying some pretty good form into this particular tournament. It's been a real roller coaster for the guy this year. Played a practice 9 today and walks us through Pinehurst number 2. Graham Agar has said that he loves it. He reckons it's one of the most beautiful, best courses ever.
Yeah, I can see that. It is spectacular. It's got a cool feel about it. I mean, it's through the pines. It's got, all the sort of native grasses around as runoffs. It's just off the fairways. It's very penal if you miss it. And then, it's got some great visuals around the greens. Basically all the greens have big runoffs and deep bunkers, and it tests every part of your game. And it's definitely one of the best golf courses in the world.
So once again, it's going to be a precision player tournament, isn't it? You've got to hit every shot perfect.
Yeah. The one thing for a US Open, it's probably relatively wide off the tee in comparison to some other courses. So it does give you a little bit of room off the tee, but it takes it away very quickly around the greens. The greens are quite big, but they play very, very small, because if you miss your targets, it runs off, and it runs a long way off the greens. And you can end up in some pretty horrible spots after hitting a relatively good shot. And just off the fairways, even though they are wide, the native grasses they've got there, there's a lot of luck involved. You could hit it in there and get extremely lucky and have a shot, or you could hit it in there and be literally struggle to chip it out sideways. And it's, as I said, it tests every part of your game, and it's going to get firm and fast by the end of this week, and I expect most of us to get beaten up.
Amateur golfers' revenge, mate. They can make you look really like a real clown, can't it? The best golfers in the world, and all of a sudden you can shoot 3 over, triple bogeys and quadruple bogeys.
Yeah, look, I remember watching in 2014 here, and when Martin Keimer won, and that's all it was. I think guys were struggling to make birdies. It was just a grind the whole week, and we had a lot of rain last night, which softened the golf course, so we might get away with it for the first couple of days. But I expect come Saturday, Sunday, this place is going to be really fiery, and a good score is going to be even par. What kind
of temperature, weather-wise, are you playing in? Short sleeves, obviously.
Yeah, it's in the 30, between 25 and 35 for the rest of the week, I think. So I heard the weekend. Yeah. The weekend's going to be quite hot, I think. I heard it's going to get to sort of 95-ish Fahrenheit, which I think is close enough to 35 degrees, which is, that's a little nasty. Today was great. Today was sort of mid-20s and sunny and not a lot of breeze. So, I think it's just going to get hotter and hotter throughout the week, and which makes the golf course get firmer and firmer throughout the week.
Ryan Fox, we're ahead of the US Open, kicking off on Friday, New Zealand time, of course. Okay, you played 9 today. Was that 1 through 9, or was it 10 through 18?
I played the back 9 today, so it's sort of practice rounds take a while out there. I think I played the back 9 in 3 hours. You just got to hit so many shots around the greens just to kind of figure out where the best place to miss it is, and you're going to miss a lot of greens this week. So it's going to be one of those weeks where I'm just going to play sort of 9-9-9 and try to stay relatively fresh. If you play 18 out there, being out on the golf course for 6 hours and grinding is a pretty long time with all the other stuff you have to do. So it's kind of nice just to play 9 a day and keep energy levels up.
So a dumb question for you, sorry, but when you get to practice like that, do you actually have to play a proper round, or are you allowed to go, okay, I'm going to take 7 different shots at this particular shot?
No, it's definitely the latter.
Okay.
And I'll probably become more guilty of it over here because practice rounds are so slow, and that's what guys do. So instead of having to wait all the time in a practice round, you just go, well, I'm going to hit a few more chips and a few more putts around the greens and see how it all goes. In Europe, I was generally if I play with someone, let's play a match and actually play properly to an extent, but that's also having played a lot of the courses multiple times and not really having to figure anything out about how to play them. So yeah, over here it's definitely a little bit different in that respect. It's hit a lot of shots around the greens and hit a few shots into the greens and stuff. It's taking a little bit more to figure out new golf courses.
Ryan, what have you learned about yourself this year, just in terms of the emotional, the mental side of it? Because, you've had big ups and downs. You've actually got to play the weekend at both majors, which was excellent. Your form and at the Canadian Open was superb. And then the real lows in that. So trying to balance all of that out without even adding in, obviously the family, the travel, and when we spoke last time, just the different environment that the States is in. What are you learning?
It's probably nothing new in that respect. I've been through a bunch of it before, but probably learned that the golf game's never as far away as you think it is. At times this year, I thought it was miles away, and it's turned around really quickly. As I said, I've been through that stuff before, but you kind of, I've had such a good couple of years. It's really easy to forget about the tough times, and I've had a few of those tough times this year, and I probably didn't handle them as well as I could have. And again, going forward, I've just got to remember that it's not as far away as you think it is. It's not all as grim and as bleak, and there's no, you don't need to sweat the small stuff as much. That I am a good golfer. It's in there somewhere, and it's not going to disappear for a whole year. I will find it eventually, and thankfully I found it sooner rather than later. In the last, those last sort of 6 to 8 weeks, I've started to play a lot better, which is nice.
Yeah, and so just how you are as a person when you come home at night, how much does that alter things, or are you able to completely divorce what goes on the course from when you get home? Because I'm just asking this question from a normal human perspective. If we have a bad day at work, all of us arrive home a little grumpy.
No, yeah, look, it's definitely been hard to do that. Look, I've got the kids on the road, so in one respect it's easy, but in another respect I feel like I don't get any downtime, trying to get them to bed and do all the packing and traveling and stuff like that. So, if you're a little bit down on the golf course and you're a bit stressed out about things, the off-course stuff was quite stressful as well. So in that respect, it kind of added to it a little bit, but I definitely prefer it that way than the other way where, if you're in a hotel room by yourself, you've kind of got nothing else to think about but golf, and that that can definitely do your head in pretty quickly.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full. Hurricanes-Chiefs second Super Rugby semi-final this Saturday, 4:35. Afternoon rugby in New Zealand. What? Why? It only worked really well last week. Why would you do it again? Whose decision is it to schedule these games? Is it New Zealand Rugby? Oh, no, you got to talk to Sanzar about that. Well, we tried Sanzar. No one ever answers the phone. And finally we get hold of someone and they refer us back to New Zealand Rugby. So we talk to New Zealand Rugby. Oh, no, you have to talk to Sky TV about that. Well, Sky TV, nobody will answer the phone. And if you get an answer, then say, oh, it's not us, it's New Zealand Rugby. And round it goes. Hurricane CEO Avan Lee on to explain what a good decision this is and why they concluded it was the right thing to do rather than put the match up against the Warriors, which kicks off 25 minutes later on Saturday night. Whose decision ultimately is it, or was it? Is it yours as the CEO of the Hurricanes, or is there a process and also other people involved?
No, it was for the quarterfinals, so we got the option qualifying first to choose what time our kickoff would be for that fixture. But for the semi-finals, they were locked in Friday 7:05 and Saturday 4:35. So again, the top qualifier got the 4:35 slot on the Saturday. Which isn't normal. I thought it would be 7:05 on the Saturday, but I assumed it was a Warriors game, and that's what it was. So I guess from Sky's perspective, a big part of the whole programming, they would want people to watch both games, and they're very keen to get people inside the ground for any of their fixtures. So their ideal situation would be, watching one at the ground and watching one on TV somewhere. So that's how it's worked for a long time. That's just how fixtures are scheduled, really.
It comes as quite a surprise to hear you say that that's what Sky's preferred thing. I mean, they have never actually done this ever. They've never actually looked, or certainly publicly actually acknowledged ever, that there is a clash between the two codes, and that people do want to watch both. Yeah, I mean, obviously the Warriors have been performing well over the last couple of seasons, and the last couple of weeks they've got back on
back on track. So, there are a lot of people that watch both, and I don't really subscribe to the rugby versus league thing. I think, there's plenty of place for both sports, and I think it's a really sensible decision so that people that are fans of rugby can watch both games, and same with league. So I think it makes sense, to be honest.
Well, it makes absolutely perfect sense, doesn't it? What does an afternoon match mean for you, though, as the CEO of the Hurricanes? Do you expect a much bigger crowd because it's afternoon?
Absolutely, yeah. We had nearly 10,000 tickets sold yesterday, which is 9 or 10 times more than you would normally have for a game on a Monday. So, part of that's because it's a semi-final, and part of that's because we're playing the Chiefs, who are obviously a big New Zealand team and playing well. But there is a factor that is down to the afternoon kickoff, and I'm not surprised by that. But it's great to see people getting out and supporting the team.
When is club rugby played what times on a Saturday? Is it normal? Is it 2:30, 2:45 kind of 3 o'clock kickoffs?
Normally, yeah. So there's 190 fixtures on Saturday. So we've met with Wellington Rugby, and they're working their way through it. But their absolute goal is to bring as many of those games forward as they can in order for those people to enjoy their club experience, either playing or watching, and then be able to watch the game either at the ground or on TV. So yeah, it's great to have that support. Naturally enough, a lot of those people want to come and watch the game, so it'd be a shame if they couldn't.
Avan, how much of your business model, your income, everything is actually dependent on the gate? And so, therefore, what do these fixtures do for your balance sheet?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, too much of our financial success hinges on the gate. None of the New Zealand teams budget for finals, so we all aim for break-even budgets without playing any games at the back end of the season. So to be in a semi-final at home, even with a chance of making the final is fantastic for us. It's a game changer in terms of the financial side of it. But I guess for the team and the staff who put all the hard work in, it's a bonus to be at home this weekend. But also from a financial perspective, it's fantastic. And if you had a choice, you'd have them every year, but that doesn't necessarily happen.
Are you allowed to tell me what the percentage split is? The Chiefs get something, don't they? Does Sanzar get something, or do you get to keep the whole goddamn lot?
No. There's obviously stadium charges and security and rental and all that kind of thing, and then we do pay we pay a fee to the opposition, which increases as you move through the playoffs. But I'm not going to go into the details, but it's potentially lucrative if you can get more than 25,000 people in the ground. It's a good payday.
Well, it's been a bit of a roller coaster year, hasn't it? So as far as the whole POA thing, how did that all end up? And is that going to happen again next year, or are you confident it won't?
No, I'm confident it won't. It was a big shock, but we had some great dialogue with the ladies that were, I guess, leading the haka that week, and we had dialogue every week for the rest of the season. I mean, as I say, it was unexpected, but it's just something different to deal with. And as I said, with the players, we've got a good relationship with the players, and we've worked our way through it. We'll still look to do that at the start of next year to make sure that we're all aligned and we're connected. But I feel like it's behind us now, which is good.
The Tight Five.
5 separate sporting topics, roughly a minute or so on each. And when the bell reminds us, we go on to the next topic. I love this headline in the BBC today. India versus Pakistan, helping cricket's American dream gather pace. What, did they hire somebody from one of the New Zealand mainstream media sites to write that rot? Last night's Monday Night Football, Doggies versus Eels. Absolutely magnificent. Barton's bomb, Crichton. I think Burton's bomb, Crichton. I think the best player right now in the NRL is him, Stephen Crichton. From what I saw last night. Connor Tracy, what a game he had. 45,000 crowd. It was just magnificent. Burton's bomb, I'm sorry. Super rugby scheduling with the Hurricanes, Lachlan. And, brilliant, isn't it? That finally somebody sees sense and plays an afternoon game and it doesn't clash with the Warriors on Saturday night. How bloody hard is that? I hope the Black Caps lose and bottle and get kicked out of this tournament on their backsides because that's what they deserve. Doggies go 7th, which means your Broncos are...
I haven't seen the table. I don't know.
And the NHL today, we'll keep you updated with that score too. Do you concur with me? I'll ask Watto about this in a second. Do you hope the Black Caps get rolled? I think this team needs a punch in the gut is what it needs. And it needs the humiliation of getting sent home before the Super 8 stage.
Yes and no. Actually, no, I don't know. Yes. I take that bet. Yes, I was going to put forward an argument, but I completely debunked myself in my head right away.
You don't deserve to be playing for New Zealand wearing the silver fern, some of you guys. You really don't.
See, that's what it is. So for me, my immediate reaction is, no, they're a New Zealand team. You've got to back the New Zealand teams. No, I think you've got to earn that. I think you've got to earn the support from your fan base back home, and that's not a hard thing to do. All you need to do is, at least publicly and on the surface, decent enough human beings. You need to actually connect with your fans. You need to go out there. You need to give your all, and you need to... And isolating the Black Caps case, you need to actually prepare, try hard, and show some care and just a bit more interest in the black jersey. Obviously, in this case, they're wearing a teal jersey for this tournament, but the black jersey and the silver fern when it's on your chest. Now, there's only one team that I think can get away with not doing that entirely, and that's the All Blacks, because for decades they have been the pinnacle of New Zealand sports fandom.
And they win.
Look, at the end of the day, we gave it to them for 4 years, but when it came down to the World Cup, they got to the final. And had it been 15-15 for the whole game, they may well have won.
And I said after that final, I was gutted, of course, that we lost, but I wasn't really miserable that we'd lost, because what they did is they gave me the All Blacks back. After the last 3 or 4 years where they've been thoroughly unconvincing as an All Black side and setting all the records that we don't want and losing, and then getting given Rolex watches after they lose, all of that kind of stuff. They played like I wanted them to, with tenacity, heart, courage. They played like a New Zealand sports team.
Now, I'll quickly say this. Now, the All Blacks, of course, we went on about this a lot, especially when we were in France, that if they lose that Ireland quarterfinal, they go home as the worst team,
that would ever send to a World Cup.
Yeah. And then they won back, I think, the support and the sense of New Zealand in many ways. They still had it, but the elated support, but also the trust in the jersey that they can go out there and win big games with that win in the quarterfinal. Yeah. Now, the Black Caps could well win the rest of their pool games and then knock off one of the big teams on the way to the final. If they do that, then we'll swallow our words and we'll say we were wrong.
I want to hear some acknowledgement or some apology or something, rather than just the pap, crap, clap, trap that comes out of Kane Williamson's mouth every time that we lose. Look, I love the guy as a player and everything else, but you need some serious PR advice. And the administrators in New Zealand cricket, you need to actually seize control back of these players. Both the men and the women.
Yeah, let's just... I don't expect them to go and do much damage in this tournament, so I think we're pretty safe. But let's wait to see what happens in the Super 8 stage if they get there.
Let's talk about the Doggies last night versus the Eels, Monday Night Football. I only saw the second half live. I watched the highlights of the first half this morning when I got to work. 45,000 crowd. So it was King's birthday weekend in Oz, a couple of weeks later than New Zealand. So it's a Monday night. So that's a brilliant crowd. I think that's the biggest crowd for a non-finals game. Maybe the Brisbane Broncos have had actually 45,000 plus.
Yeah, it's not the biggest, no.
Okay, well, it's certainly one of the biggest, isn't it? And
at least in the last, 5, 10, 15 years.
Something like that they said last night. A couple of things from it. Burton's bomb. This guy kicks the ball in a way that I've only seen NFL kickers been able to do it. And most of the NFL kickers are now trained by Aussie rules players. But he smacks it so high with so much nasty spin and whip on the bloody thing. The Parramatta guy, I can't remember who it was, dived full length, was on his gut, and his hands didn't touch the ball. So as it's coming down to him, it's obviously swirling and moving, and he's gone this way, he's gone that way, he's gone this way, and he ends up on his gut.
Well, he was so helpless. It was like watching like a kid throw a stuffed toy across the room. He was just falling and
flailing at it, yeah. And I look at Burton and I just think it's such a brilliant tactic. Why aren't there more players in the NRL capable of doing it? And why doesn't somebody in rugby learn how to do this? Go out there and just practice until you get it right. Because most of the rugby kicking is pretty bloody aimless, isn't it? But put a bomb up like that. Put a bomb up where a guy's actually underneath it and you're contesting for it.
The thing with those bombs, and I know the bomb you're talking about, he was on the halfway line, maybe slightly in front. you don't need to be tactical. You just need to be able to smack the hell out of it.
Up high.
And so up high. So
but it's also got to land between the goal line and the 10-metre line,
but
right?
if there's skill in that. But, I mean, if you're going to compare it to, sort of tactical kicking in rugby or even league to an extent, they're different kind of things that you do. But no, he's been doing it ever since he joined the Dogs. His first season, I think, was 2022 when he played in the halves. He's been doing this. And it's...
Plus, he unleashed
got an unbelievable
absolutely
boot
brilliant 40-20 when they were down to 12 players, and that was, a 50-yard kick as well. Stephen Crichton, look, I mean, I've got a love fest with this guy at the moment. I watched his post-match speech. He's such a humble dude. I think he's New South Wales Blues' best player at the moment. I think on form, he's, I called him earlier. Perhaps it's a bit exaggerative. That's not like me. The best player in the NRL at the moment. He's certainly probably the best back, Lachlan. I mean, the best players are always your front rowers to me because they make, the most damage in a game. But this guy's...
Well, the best players are your halfbacks, surely.
Oh, no, I think this guy's
if everyone's healthy,
mate.
the best player's probably Nathan Cleary, right?
He's not healthy at the moment, so I'm saying right now.
Okay, right now, and based on form this year, yeah, he probably is. I mean, off the top of my head, who else has had such an outstanding season?
I tell you, I'd love him in an All Black jersey. I was watching him last night going, we don't have a centre that good.
No,
I mean, Geordie's bloody good, but I don't know if he's as good
Geordie's
as...
the second five.
Okay, so we don't have a centre that good.
13, yeah.
Man, he's a good player. And also Connor Tracy. It just, as Ernie used to say, he's got gas. There's something about a guy with that pace, right? And that first, this might have been their first try in the second half when they came back, he comes from so deep that when they hit him and he hits the line so fast, he just leaves that centre floundering for Parramatta. Left him floundering twice. It's something very exciting about watching a guy just with electric speed. I remember Martin O'Fire was like that. When he got the ball, that nobody would lay a finger on him. Just so quick. Brilliant. It was just a brilliant game of rugby league last night. What am I saying?
Jeez, you're in love.
I was, mate. I watched
Look at you.
I watched it last night.
I've got to say that
Monday Night Football.
The visuals and the sounds of it. I mean, it's a one-off because it was a holiday weekend. They kicked it off at 4 o'clock Sydney time, and the sun was sort of starting to drop down in the sky. Look, the visuals of it was lovely. Like, as sports fans, I don't know if I guess everyone else is like this. I don't know, but I get drawn to the visuals. Like, that's why I love watching golf. I love seeing a well manicured lawn. I love seeing Augusta because it's just such a gorgeous setting. And even the TV graphics, I love seeing it. When you watch games like that and you've got the sun sort of setting, you've got this lovely day, so many fans, it's loud. It's hard not to like it.
Well, I mean, you'll enjoy the same thing in the corporate box on Saturday when you're watching the Warriors with the boss, won't you? Yeah.
Down in a few drinks.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, no, because I'll be with the boss. So I'll be on my best behaviour, of course. With some intelligent chatter.
Doggies go 7th, Broncos go...
I don't know.
Are the Doggies making the 8 now?
Yeah, I think they are.
You think they are?
Well, they're in good form.
Kempy picked it last night too.
They were, I don't know, they didn't have too many wins across their first 4 or 5 games, but you look at their last sort of block of about, 7 to 6, so 13, their last block of about 8. I think they're 5 and 3.
Something like that, yeah.
They've really turned it up. But look, it's such a close comp.
But they get Kiko back and that left side, because remember we were talking about the left side edge earlier in the season with them.
Yeah.
Them and Josh I thought they left.
Well, it was the right
This was
side.
all
They
right.
got those
exactly,
2 tries.
Exactly right, you see.
But the one thing I'll say, and
face with the Doggies.
I'll pump the brakes on really going nuts over anyone making the 8 and missing out on the 8 because it's so close and so many teams are dealing with injuries. Geez, everyone's got a hamstring injury, it seems. I'll wait till the origin period's done.
No. The Black Caps deserve it big time. Who's going to call this bunch of pretenders, this bunch of posers out? Because that's what they are. Disrespecting that jersey, disrespecting the Silver Fern, disrespecting the fact, and I'm not saying all the players are like this, but there's a large chunk of them and the administration as well. Well, hey, I got a right to bitch and moan about this because I've been supporting this team long before most of these guys who are currently wearing that jersey were even born. But who's actually going to be honest in their assessment of the patheticness that was that defeat against Afghanistan? And then see what it does to me? See what it does to me? That's why I got Mark Watson on to talk about it. ATM apologised to me. Let's start with you on Sunday on another radio network where you do your show on SENS. And I think we're probably the only two that have these jobs where we commentate and comment on sport during the week that have actually told the truth about this arrogant, disrespectful Black Caps side and its administration, and you gave it to them hard on Sunday.
Yeah, look, I did. Martin, I've just had a guts full of the power that our players have across rugby and cricket, and it's just a case now of the tail wagging the dog and how these, what I call trade unions, have been able to manage to get themselves into this position as well. You know, congratulations to those running those two organisations, but it's just a blight on both organisations, and it's just so disrespectful to us
the New Zealand public. I mean, you represent our country, you're representing all of us, and we expect people who represent this country to basically die for this country in a sporting sense, to want to give everything. And, and then we've got the Black Caps who have no preparation for a World Cup. So they go in here believing that this mantra of, we're a tiny island nation at the bottom of the world who boxes above our weight. And it's almost like they think that that's still going to get them across the line, that they don't actually need to do any training. You've got a coach, Gary Stead, coming out and saying, they've had this arduous 8 weeks at the IPL and we've got to get the balance right between them going and seeing their family and the performance side of it. I mean, the arduous 8 weeks, minimum players earning $300,000 in that 8 weeks. I think the maximum is around about $3 million in that 8-week period, all staying in 5-star hotels.
Living with their families, Mark. That's the other thing. Their families are with them, okay? So, this holiday with the families is just a crock, is what it is. It's a charm offensive from New Zealand cricket to say they went on holiday and they couldn't be asked turning up on time.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, mate, I'm surprised that, we haven't had the default setting of mental health come in as well, which is always that sort of get out of jail statement that seems to be made these days to sort of keep the media at bay. One of the worst performances we've ever seen from a Black Caps team against Minnows Afghanistan. Now, they're not a bad side. T20 cricket's quite fickle. We've seen that with some of the other results. And look, the Black Caps could still pull this out. They could still, because of the nature of T20 cricket, we could have people phoning us in 4 weeks going, you don't know what you're talking about, you're doom and gloom merchants. But the bigger issue here is that this is not the first time. I mean, you go back to the 3-test series in England a couple of years ago where Kane Williamson turns up 2 days before the first test after having played IPL and a number of our fast bowlers. And then we get beaten in the series 3-0. We don't get many opportunities to play England in 3 tests. We don't get many opportunities to play the big countries in 3 tests. We keep asking for it, but we actually haven't done enough to prove ourselves to actually say, we're worthy opponents. And we do it because we're just not hungry enough. Martin, you would have heard me say a lot of times that the greatest ingredient any athlete can have is passion and desire. I mean, you've got to have some talent. But the only way you test that's adversity. There's no adversity for any of these guys.
No, there's not. I mean, look, okay, they get paid. And let's add Sophie Devine to this as well, because the New Zealand women's captain couldn't be asked training with her teammates. She was in Perth when they were training for that England series in New Zealand. Both of these teams are seriously underperforming. They have all the resources available to them. They get pampered. They get loved. They get smoke blown up their backsides. Gary Stead said last week they were having centre pitch preparation. Not a day-night match, not a warm-up match, because some of them had jet lag. I agree with you totally, mate. It is disrespectful. And as anti as it is, I'm hoping that they get their A's booted out of this tournament. I think that they need the humiliation of losing another couple of games and come back with their tail between their legs. It won't actually do anything. It won't do anything because these players' egos are so bloody big.
Martin, if I'm running the game, you make a choice. Because I've said this, the only reason you get an IPL contract is because of what you've done for playing for New Zealand. So it's ironically, isn't it? You get this wonderful audition playing for New Zealand, and then once you get sort of the money, you suddenly turn your back on the very thing that actually provided the opportunity in the first place.
Okay, well, let's point the finger at the guy that it should be pointed at here, Mark. Okay, and there's a new CEO of New Zealand cricket, Scott Wienik. Where is he? He's done a Mark Robinson, mate. He's invisible. Where is he? Apart from swanning around corporate boxes in the West Indies, where is he? And why won't anyone from this administration actually stand up to these guys and actually do the right thing? Which is, listen, if you don't want to play for your country, that's fine. We would rather that you did because you're the most talented players. But as a fan, as an administrator, what I want to show to the rest of the country is that it is meaningful. You made a point to me the other day, mate. Sorry to interrupt, but you made a point to me the other day that we've got an Olympic Games coming up in Paris. We've got rowers, we've got swimmers, we've got track and field athletes. And you listen to them talk. They bust a gut every day for our country to wear that black singlet, to put that silver fern on. Most of them get stuff all money. Most of the administrators at Sport New Zealand earn 5 times what these guys get paid. And yet the desire that you're talking about, that is long gone from this black cap side, mate. You listen to Kane Williamson after Afghanistan, reminded me of when we got dicked in that Chapel Hadley one-day series in Australia a couple of years ago when it was played up north, remember? It was shameful. And that's the same. We'll take the learnings. They played better than us. No, Kane, they didn't. You guys were pathetic because you never actually prepared properly for the tournament.
Look, Martin, you know me. I mean, I know those other sports very well. I mean, I do a lot of work for New Zealand rowing. I work with a lot of former Olympic guys. And, I'm often asked for my experience, and I've covered a lot of sports internationally, a lot. And I'll always say the 2 hardest sports, in my opinion, are swimming and rowing. I still put swimming as the number one because you've got to train basically. Look, give you an example, and I'm very mindful of it, and it's been driven by her. My daughter's 12. Yesterday morning, she swam from 5:30 till 7 with the North Shore Swim Squad. Then she went back yesterday afternoon and swam from 4 till 6. She did a 10K, basically 10K in the pool, and she's 12. Okay, she woke up this morning and went at 5:30 again. She's got water polo tonight. Now, we all grew up, we've all played cricket. When I was in swim squads chasing the triathlon dream, I had former national swim coaches coaching us, and they said, look, if you guys want to muck around, go and play cricket, because that's how it's very much perceived. And as you mentioned, I mean, our rowers, there's no money in it. And what I think that does, it actually just weans those out that are serious from not serious. When there's no money, you play because you want to play for your country. You want to go and represent your country at the highest level. You want to go to the Olympic Games. And it can be heartbreaking. I know swimmers missing out by 1/10 of a second on qualifying and have spent their entire life chasing it. And then we've got a bunch of these prima donnas, mate, who honestly have been told how arduous their life can be. But it's the same across rugby as well. Then you take the women's versions of the game. Oh, we can't do this unless we're getting paid the same as men, unless we're full time. And everybody sort of buys into this mentality in this political environment in which we live. And at the end of the day, if I'm running cricket, it's a simple choice. You play for us. The priority's for us. We do everything we can to try and win. Everything else is secondary. If you don't like that, don't play. We'll pick the next group of players.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full.
We need to talk.
Favourite game, Lachlan?
We need to talk.
What is your favourite game, Lachlan?
What has more chance of happening?
What has more chance of happening?
Next!
I present a couple of scenarios to you and you tell me out of the two what has more chance of happening. And this is all based on what we have done today on the show. So in no particular order,
Next!
What has more chance of happening? The Black Caps make the Super 8 at the T20 World Championships, or Ryan Fox makes the cut at the US?
Ryan Fox makes the cut.
Much more chance or more chance?
Look, not that I have a mortgage, but let's just imagine that I did and I had to put it on something. I'd absolutely be putting it on that. I'd be putting it on a lot of things over the Black Caps. A lot of things that involve my personal life and personal relationships that may not be going to plan in many ways. I'd be putting it on that succeeding more so than the Black Caps making the Super 8 phase of the World Cup.
Let me say it again out loud. And I've worked in sport for 25 years and I've never wanted a New Zealand team to lose ever, and I want this Black Cap side to lose. Not because I don't like all the players. It's just the attitude, the arrogance, the lack of preparation. They need a slap, and they should get. But it won't happen anyway because the administration has got their tongue so far up these players' backsides. But at the same time, they need to come down a peg, and that's the only thing that's going to do it.
Overpaid prima donnas.
That's from Watto. This from, I can't remember who the United States soccer player is that said this about the men's team.
You're going to continue to be a bunch of soft, underperforming, tattooed millionaires? You are a soccer generation that has been given everything.
Cricket generation.
You are a soccer
cricket generation
who's on the verge of squandering everything.
Yes. Exactly right. What is more chance happening? Ryan makes the cut at the US Open, or the Doggies, on the evidence of what you saw last night and in recent weeks, make the 8 in the NRL? What is more chance of happening?
Oh, I reckon the Doggies make the 8.
Oh, see, I reckon Ryan makes the cut.
I think he does as well, but I think the Dogs are in a... Wow, I'm going against my own logic then that I don't think I should be predicting anything about that. Actually, I take it back. No, I'll say Ryan Fox makes the cut.
If the Doggies get all their players back, but you see, this is where we drive down silly street, because that's like saying if the Broncos get all your players back, if everyone's roster is fit, full and healthy, if the Panthers get Nathan Cleary back for the rest of the season, well then on paper, what changes from last year apart from nothing? Because this is how, you get upsets in the table, you get freak results and you get teams going on runs because it is an attritional league.
Yeah, look, there's 2 years that really, actually 3, but 2 since the final system became what it is now, where 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3, 5 plays 8, 6 plays 7, where it was unbelievably tight between first and 8th on the table, 2014 and 2018. And as much as the table...
Was that the one where the Warriors finished 8th and could have got first with another win or something silly like that?
Yeah, it was 2018. Okay, that was exactly it.
Yeah.
The Roosters, who were minor premiers, with 16 wins, 8 losses, and then in 8th with the Warriors with 15 wins and 9 losses.
Crazy, yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah, look, that was that year in 2014, 2010 to an extent, but the finals format then was different than it is now, where as much as there was... It was so tight, really. So many teams outside the top 4 had a case to potentially win the premiership. At the end of the day, the team that won it And I think most of the teams that made the preliminary finals were top 4 sides. So, look, it is going to be incredibly close right up until the end. And someone like Brisbane, my Broncos, for example, could get all our players back because Adam Reynolds could play the last sort of 3-4 games of the year. We could go on a run and all of a sudden we go from 8th or 9th up to 3rd, for goodness sake. So
that's if the table's still crunched. Is this
I think it will be.
Another question then on that. Is this the first time that we're going to see a side outside the top 4?
Well, it depends.
Kempy's talking about this. You got to play an extra game. And that's the thing. If you're 5 to 8, you got to play an extra game. I don't think that's prohibitive because we see it in the NFL, don't we? Where wild card teams and can win them all away from home. I mean, we saw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We've seen the New York Giants do it. Go to places like Green Bay and win.
That's all well and fine, but we don't see it in the NRL.
No, we don't. But is this the year that we might?
The only way it would happen is if one of the Panthers, the Broncos, the Storm, the Roosters finish outside the top 4 and finish in that 5 to 8 range, maybe even the Warriors. Actually, no, I won't put the Warriors there. Sorry, I won't put the Warriors there. If one of those 4 teams finish 5 to 8, particularly Penrith or Melbourne, or even Brisbane, maybe I'm rating my side too good, but if they finish 5 to 8, they're absolutely good.
Next!
Absolutely.
What is more chance of happening then? The Doggies, on the evidence of last night and also results over recent weeks, and, this is what happens with teams. They get on a bit of a tear, a bit of a roll, but the Bulldogs last night, what impressed me most, and we've been talking about this, is up until now it's been the left edge, but they didn't have a left edge last night. It was the right edge. If they can get all their players back, they were an attacking force last night, admittedly against an Eels side that, were 4 and 8, but flattered to see. But you always kind of think they got more in the tank, the Eels, but their season's gone now at 4 and 9. Anyway, what is more chance happening? That the Doggies make the 8, or the Chiefs beat the Canes this weekend in Wellington 4:35?
Chiefs beat the Canes. And the only reason I'm saying that is it's one game.
And
Dogs
your theory is always they've got to win so many more games that go through the season.
Yep.
In a one-off match between these two teams, and we're going to speak to Roger Randall about it tomorrow. We're going to be talking to Hurricanes, of course, as we build up to this game. You said earlier that the odds were $1.80 or something on the Canes and $2.65 and $2.20
or $1.70 maybe.
and $2.20 on the Chiefs. So there was a definitive gap. I would have thought that they would be a lot closer than that. Why? Only because...
Why? Yeah, why?
Only because what we saw... Look, all season, the Chiefs finished 9 and 5. All season we've been thinking, they're a better team. They're a better team.
But what are we basing that off? Last year?
Last year, yeah.
So we probably thought that about the Blues maybe last year. That, but they're better than this because the previous year they were 13 and 1 and were top of the table.
If you remember, the Crusaders weren't that flash last year until it got to the finals. And then
Same thing 2 years prior.
Okay. So can the Chiefs do that? They've got all the experience. On paper, their squad, you would have thought, would have been the strongest in the competition. They're certainly much stronger than the Hurricanes, who this year have had really enthused young team come through.
We've seen it.
I think the Chiefs are a danger, man. I think out of the 4 teams that are left, look at your top seeds, Hurricanes and Blues, right? I mean, ordinarily you think, okay, those two are going to go through to the final. The team that I think that is a possibility of upsetting is not the Brumbies, it's the Chiefs. It's the 4th place team here.
Well, there's a couple of things. There's a lot of great stats you can kind of look at. For starters, if 2022 and 2023 aren't outliers and are something to go by, but it's only really of those 2 years of this new competition format, then the teams, you can go 13, because both the Blues and the Chiefs over the last couple of years, Blues 2 years ago, Chiefs last year, went 13 and 1, top of the table, hosted the final and lost to the Crusaders. And in the final, were heavily outplayed by a better side.
Okay, but there is one key word in that theory, right?
That is the Crusaders.
There
and
you
it was
go.
the Scott Robertson Crusaders.
Team,
I know.
yes.
But then I would buy into this if the Chiefs were at home. We can't talk about the Chiefs like they're a title-winning side with all this experience and all this class because they've only done it for as many years as the Blues have done it.
Do you think, though, in Super Rugby, that the home advantage really does mean...
Not for the Kiwi teams.
I don't think it does.
I don't think it means anything.
I think it does in Canberra. And I think it does
in Christchurch.
It does in Lautoka.
Yep, I think it does to an extent in Christchutch.
Strangely, I would have thought that Eden Park has that hold over most teams, but then the Crusaders smashed them up in the final a couple of years ago.
Well, yeah, because they were just so much better.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like watching a test side, a really good test side.
So it comes down to one thing then. Who has got the best forwards?
The Hurricanes.
Who is the best defence?
This is the thing. As much as we're going to say the Chiefs have all this class, they're the best team on paper, and we're waiting for them to kick on. Maybe against the Reds, that was the sign. The Hurricanes have been superb this year.
Yeah, they have.
They have been absolutely
one
brilliant.
Bad game, and that was against the Brumbies away. That's the only bad game that they've had.
It's the pace they play at, the efficiency of their forwards. They keep the ball alive. They run really well. Their backs are just explosive. There's no one on their team that I would look at and said, "Oh, yeah, but he's been pretty ordinary this year."
Who
They've
else
all
did they
been
lose
superb.
to? The Hurricanes. They lost
to the Blues at
They
Eden
lost to
Park,
the Blues
which
at Eden
could have been a
Park.
win.
Yeah,
Could have been a
there you
win.
LBP with TMG. That's Let's Be Positive. Twisel's Matt Gunn. Well, there's only one big topic of conversation from that guy today. It was about his doggies who jumped ahead of the Broncos to go 7th in the table. They got a bye this weekend. They were magnificent last night, down to 12 men, kept the Parramatta Eels scoreless. In that second half, most of that second half, they did concede a one try, but bounced back. Just a brilliant game of Monday night football. It was rugby league. Here's Matt. That game last night, crackerjack, you're in the 8. You've got a bye coming this weekend, which means you stay in the 8. There were so many excellent things about that game last night, but let's start with the crowd. 45,000 on a Monday night. I know it's King's birthday weekend. Brilliant.
45,000. What a tremendous turnout, Martin. I think when you consider the Warriors with all their sold-out games here and a 45,000 crowd on a Monday night in Sydney, rugby league is doing pretty well at the moment, isn't it? And the game that was delivered to that 45,000 people last night will bring them back. You know, regardless of who you support, that kind of football was mind-blowing. Look, let's just talk about the doggies. Number 7 with a bullet with a bye, which means we stay where we are.
That's right.
And we start to say we are a top 4 side.
Oh, I mean, I know we're being positive in this, but that's ridiculous.
Look, we'll be on 18 points this weekend. If the Dolphins get beat by the Sharks, that'll mean we're in or around 8th. Canberra, who are also on 18 points, they got the Cowboys, so they will possibly win and go to 20 points. Look, we're sniffing around the 8. The way we played last night, I think we had 4 or 5 disallowed tries. We had a player sent off. We lost Josh Curran, we lost Preston, and we lost Hayward to serious injuries twice. The Medicab had to be taken out onto the field to remove the Bulldogs. Parramatta couldn't score on us when we were down to, when we had a man off, down to 12, and then here we came. And every time we had the ball, we looked like we were going to score. I don't think that there were penalties given away or any of those tries should have been given. But what it did show is that from any situation on the field, we were attacking, throwing the ball, trying what we needed to, and we got the job done. I am absolutely buzzing.
Here we go.
I cannot believe.
Here we go.
I cannot believe where we were last year, and the year before, I won't keep going, and the year before, and now this year, it is all coming together.
Okay, how many games did you win last year in total? How many games did you win?
Well, as many as this year.
That's it. So you've already won as many. You won 7 last year. You've already got that. You had no Kiko. You had no Josh Adokar. Who's your fullback who absolutely skinned their centre? Couldn't even get a hand on him.
Connor Tracy, yeah. Very good, very quick. The Burton bomb, I don't know if you got to have a bit of a
look, I watched that
repeat.
because I only tuned in for the second half, so I went back after you texted me and said, look at that bomb. There is not a player in the NRL capable of catching those kicks. I don't know why he doesn't do them every single time. I don't know why somebody in rugby doesn't learn how to do it.
Oh, and he hasn't been dropping them like that for quite a number of weeks. But the height of some of those bombs, the heart of a fullback just goes into a flutter, and they just do not want to have to.
Well, that guy was lying horizontal on the ground and just reaching it with his hands, mate. He lost complete track of it. The other thing is, I came into the office this morning and I said to Lachlan, Stephen Crichton is the best player in the NRL right now, and he just guffawed. Tell me somebody that's playing better than that guy. He owns every single aspect of his own performance, but better than that, he's actually making those around him better.
Oh, he has been one of the best bowlers we have had in years, and they threw him in as captain this year.
Yeah.
Which really has taken the pressure off Burton and Reid, our hooker, and they're playing better. Crichton, looking at him, communicating with the players around him, they're making plans on the field during it. They knew how to beat Parramatta. And Crichton absolutely led the way. He's ferocious. I tell you what, when you look at this guy, he just looks tremendous. His physical shape, his demeanour on the field, the way that he interacts with his teammates.
Really humble offer, that post-match interview, mate. Yeah, honestly, everything about him, he's so bloody impressive. Now, look, Dog's on a roll. I picked that last night as well as you did, mate. You're in the 8 and you're there to stay for now. Here's a question for you. This time last year, after 14 rounds, what was the Warriors' record? Can you remember?
Oh, no, I don't remember
Okay, I'll
what the
let you know.
Warriors' record was last year. You tell me.
7-6. 7-6, Matt. They ended up top 4. So now they're 6-1-6. See where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I do see where you're going with it. And honestly, they went through a period where they had that draw.
Then they lost
which
4.
Was, then they lost, and everyone was just looking around saying, what's happened? And then the next 3 weeks have absolutely been tremendous performances by the Warriors, including last weekend's win. And you'd have to say they are back as well.
Yeah.
I mean, how you turn it around that quickly, I don't know, but they have. They always possess the players to do it, but they looked lost. They said they were lost, but they ain't lost after that 42-12 win over the Cowboys. They never gave up. They just wanted to score more and more points. And honestly, this is the life of a football fan, isn't it? You are up at the start of the season feeling good about the way the team's performing. Then they go into a slump, a hole, and then they almost seem unbeatable. I'm excited about this next few weeks because it'll set up, really, the teams that are going to compete and jostle for the positions in the top 4.
Listen to yourself, mate. I mean, just listen to yourself for 5 minutes. I mean, what are Tracy and Mackenzie saying? One of them is saying, Matt. The other one is saying, Dad, track back 2 or 3 years where you'd sulk and slam doors in the shed, and now you're acting like they've won something.
Well, listen, I still go down to the shed to watch the football. I can't watch it in front of a crowd. It's just too much. And the ridicule from the two of them with their, no surprises, another loss kind of attitude has meant that I just remove myself from the house. I don't want interruptions. I don't want anyone singing. I don't want anyone asking me questions. I just go down there. I sit there. I watch the game. Often I'll have a drink or two, and then I'll go back to the house when it's all over. And last night I went into the house. I cooked soup. I toasted up the Vogels. I doubled up on the butter, and I even had a bit of cheddar cheese. And I tell you what, I couldn't feel much better at the moment, mate.
That's our podcast for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to listen to the entire show, 1 till 4, Monday to Friday, download the Platform app, and via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to whatever shows over however many weeks at your leisure, at your listening pleasure. Platform Plus. First thing to do, though, is download the Platform app.
Devlin.
Unbelievable. Incredible.
The Platform.